Thanks for your time. We continue our conversation on the issues of public safety. And the Bureau of Public Safety is concerned about what appears to be the fractured relationship between police and the civilian population. According to the group, the disturbing trend of mutual disrespect for rights and freedoms and the lack of trust between civil society and the police could completely grind law and order to a halt if not urgently addressed. A statement signed by its executive director, Nanaya Wakwada, highlighted 3 separate incidents involving clashes between police and some civilian last week, which were also widely reported by the media. We just brought you a recap of those incidents, but let me just bring you that particular statement. And it says the Bureau of Public Safety has observed with grave concern a growing and disturbing trend of mutual disrespect for rights and freedoms and lack of trust between civil society and the police. Now, they give a reference of some 3 incidents that happened within the week. It talks about the assault of 3 Ghanaian Times journalists in Accra, Mr. Kennedy Japong's attack on the Central Region Police Commander at the University of Education, Winneba, and the assault of a police officer by 2 or more persons at Weja in the Greater Accra region. The aforementioned incidents are symptomatic of grave institutional failure, they say, and lack of systems that will offer civil hearing in a trusted environment with assurance of confidence that will provide trust for a need to lodge complaints and hope to receive fair hearing. The Bureau of Public Safety maintains that the police are the most visible manifestation of our democracy. Thus, the need for them to be responsive to public needs and expectations and use the authority of the state in the people's interest. In light of the foregoing, the BPS reiterates calls for the establishment of a permanent and independent police complaints body, immediate action to be taken against the officers who assaulted the 3 journalists, and arrest and prosecute Mr. Kennedy Japong for obstructing a law enforcement officer from performing his lawful duties, and the 2 or more persons involved in the assault of the police officer at Weja in Accra. They are urging the police administration to make a bold and categorical statement to its officers and men that it is not an offense for anyone to record them in public space insofar as the action does not inhibit or interfere with the discharge of their lawful duties. And they lastly say they cannot overemphasize the need to reorient the entire police service members to reconcile and firm their psyche to the tenets of democratic policing. And there's more on that. If you get onto our My Joy Online page, you'll see more of that statement and can read the entire thing for yourself. But I've been joined in the studio by Chairman of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, Reverend Professor Paul Frimpong-Manso. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Ben.
What do you make of this trend identified by the Bureau of Public Safety?
Thank you very much. Before I will respond, I want to take this opportunity to thank the media and all Ghanaians for wishing me a very healthy and successful 60th birthday. The whole of last week from multimedia and other studios, you did well. I want to thank you. Yes, for every nation to prosper, we will need security and safety, even to drive in investors, for the academia, for religion, for arts, entertainment, and everything. So without safety, we are doomed. And personally, I have been worried and disturbed about the current trends. Over the years, we see some of these things, but it has been too much, and it's quite unpleasant. So I think I agree with what the Bureau is proposing and what they are talking about, and I want to engage the church, the media, the civil society, and everyone to join them in campaigning for public peace and safety.
It's campaigning enough. We've been doing that a lot, advocating, campaigning, and sometimes it doesn't seem to yield the results that we desire.
But if campaigning is not enough, what else? We keep on. Somebody has said that if you pour water on a rock over the years, it will break. It looks like education has been the issue. So probably the word campaigning I used includes education. We need to start from the infancy of the children to train them how to coexist with one another in our schools, in our politics, everywhere. You know, the society is so much polarized on religious grounds, political grounds, in everywhere. That is why we are suffering. And I believe that we will probably need much education, and that is what the media stands for. Let us keep on hammering. I don't really believe in force, but as we educate, we keep on educate. And then our legislators, they keep on also trying to dissociate themselves from some of these things. Many times you see that they are also involved, and it makes the thing even worse. If someone calls himself an honorable and he begins to do the honorable things, it makes all these things difficult. So, but let us continue to campaign, name and shame people who are involved with this trend, and the institutions, especially the police and the system, should be able to punish people, and the courts, the adjournment, procrastination, adjournment, and people like we, the pastors, the priests, politicians, you know, going behind the scenes to plead for people. That system has destroyed our nation. Today, somebody will do something wrong, and you know that Prof. Frimpong-Manso is influential. He will come to see me at night, and the next day I will go and see the police, the judge, the lawyer, or somebody to make sure that no action is taken. Some of all these things have caused the situation that we are in, because some people have become untouchable. They will do it, the next day they will be free. Some will do it, and when they are going to be punished, we politicize it. See some of the things that are happening. You talk about it today, you are MPP, you are NDC, and people have used the political polarization in our society to even increase this mess.
Reverend, there are some who say, without any evidence or any scientific proof, that maybe the constant highlighting of the wrongs or the ills of the police is leading to this mistrust we are seeing. For example, the question is, why would somebody decide to attack a policeman the way we saw at the Malam Junction, in the Malam Junction incident? Do you agree with those who say that, well, you have created that mistrust, and that's why the people will not allow the police to do their work?
The answer is yes and no. Sometimes we don't wash our dirty clothes in public. Sometimes the police are presented in such a way that they lack the trust and the respect. So what happens is that it encourages people to take the law into their hands, to do what they want to do, because of the fact that we do not trust the police. And so that could be a case. The other side is that sometimes we may need to do behind the scenes work, training and retraining. Sometimes the force, the brute strength, the way the police do things is really uncalled for. I know that they need a minimum force to people who normally resist certain forms of arrest. But sometimes you can see brutality. And I think they need to be educated, they need to be trained, and even if some people need to be sacked, like what happened at the bank, if it had been in any society, this thing could have been dealt with within a week. But I don't know how long it took for the matter to end. So, yes, the continuous public attacks, the idea is to help to transform the police, but that alone should not be the case.
So how do we create the balance? Because we sit here, you just mentioned naming and shaming. So if we see a police officer, for example, do something that is illegal, you would want to name and shame so that it serves as a deterrent. But now we are also beginning to see a possible repercussion of that, in the sense that people are beginning to take the law into their own hands. So how do we create the balance?
Like whenever I'm talking, I try to stay in the middle, just like an aeroplane. It has two wings. We need to name and shame to deter others from doing those things. But sometimes we should also try to protect the image of the police. So it depends upon the case, it depends upon the veracity, it depends upon how far it has reached. So there are some cases, like what the police did to this woman. Everybody needs to show it. to deter others. But there are some other cases we may, the line is so thin, and it depends upon one's morality and one's ethics. But at the same time, I'm still on the point that there are certain issues we cannot put them behind the carpet. We should bring it to the public for them to see how wrong the police is. But there are certain issues we need to also protect their image. Because, believe it or not, it's like marriage. There are certain things that your wife will do that you need to protect her. Because at the end of the day, you can't do away with her. Whether we like it or not, at this society, we cannot do away with the police, and there are some good policemen and women who are really sacrificing and serving the nation. And for those people's sake, we need to protect the police. But for the badness in the police, we should not, so that it will deter others from following that example. I cannot set the line black and white, but morality and the circumstances should rather help us to know what to blow and know what not to blow, so that the purpose of both is the same: to give the police an opportunity to work and to deter at the wrong people from also coming in.
There's also that perception that when it affects the police, the service is quick to respond. I give you an example. My colleague Latif Idris, who was left with a head injury at the police headquarters. We still do not know who perpetrated that. We still do not know what the police service is doing. We are being told they are investigating, but we still haven't found whoever led that assault on my colleague. Last week, we had that incident of the 3 Ghanaian Times reporters. We are being told by the police that there's investigation, but we are learning that the 2 people who assaulted the police are being arraigned. Doesn't that fuel the perception that maybe we should, protect ourselves? Do you think people are justified to think that way? What
has happened and what has been happening in the past is very, very unfair. But it's not only the police, almost all the security services. Because I've been seeing some documentary from multimedia about the military men who attacked somebody in the north, somebody in the BA, and the way it has happened. And I was even disappointed when the Child Commissioner, the way he came out, he wasn't straightforward in the issue. I have always stand against any form of all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. That's why when the Morgan incident happened and the MP was saying that I'm MP and I'm immune to certain things but have been attacked. Whether MP or not MP, we all share the same blood. So for that attitude, the police is wrong. And I believe that the hierarchy should even punish people. What happened to Latif Idrisu was unfortunate. And if they have not been able to do anything and the videos have been around until today, I will not commend them for that. And if it happens to a policeman, tomorrow the person is arrested. I'm the chairman of the Small Arms and Light Weapons Commission.
I was just going to come to that.
We have seen some times where police have given guns to people to go and rob the society and have not even known what has happened to them. And this is not fair. So I believe, yes, if it affects a policeman or a policewoman and a swift action is taken, then those same swift actions should be taken against the police when they wrongs the public or the populace. In saying that, we need education. What brings about mob justice and all these things is that people lack education, the process. So what do we do? If a powerful institution like multimedia is not able to resolve the myth around why we haven't been able to apprehend the person who bruised and abused Latif Idris, then what about those of us? So give the public education, the processes, so that we will know. When people begin to lose trust in the police, what comes on is mob justice, what comes up is vigilantism and the rest. I am saying we still need to protect them, but they shouldn't be overprotected so much so that they can take the law in their hands. They are peace officers to protect the people, but not to destroy the people. And what punishment should be given to Mr. A because he or she is a civilian. The same punishment should be given to Mr. B or Mrs. B if he or she is a policeman.
Permit me to ask, as chairman of the Small Arms Commission, do you have meetings with the other security agencies, with the police, with the military?
We don't only have meetings. They are fully represented on our board, and they are part and parcel of the commission.
And do you have opportunity to lend some of these suggestions to the police?
Always. Very regular. You know, some of these things you can't come on air and say because we exist for them. And our service is, of course, is for the nation, but it's also to play a role whereby we work with them to promote public safety, especially in the area of arms and light weapons.
The Bureau of Public Safety statement suggested that there should be an independent body to investigate complaints by citizens with regards to police conduct. We know that the Police Intelligence and Professional Standards is there, PIPS is around, but people don't seem to have trust in them. I remember I followed a certain case of a young man who had been told that he was allegedly carrying drugs, marijuana, and he said he didn't have any drugs. The police forcefully took some amount of money from him using his mobile money, kept him the whole day. He reported it to PIPS, but nothing happened until the media, you know, sort of found its way into it. What should we be doing now? There is PIPS, but should we have an independent complaints body?
Thank you very much. I don't like forming association and bodies upon bodies. We should make the existing bodies work. And if that is not working, you sack those people. In Ghana, we don't fire. Like we have Yoko, we have this, we have SFO, and we've added Martin Amadou, and we will keep counting. And I mean, you know, the costs are there. I don't believe in forming and forming and forming. All these things come out of frustration, and we begin to pack and pack institutions. When President Obama came to Ghana, he said all that Ghana needs is strong institutions. I agree with them for all the proposals, but not necessary to form another independent body. It is going to be too much. The nation is even too small. See our land space. And there are so many organizations, associations, bodies here and there. You create this body, and they also will need to survive by money. You create this, they will survive by this, and it becomes too much. I don't really think this institution, another body is necessary, but we all should make sure that the existing bodies work. And if they do not work, then those who head them should be fired.
I remember during the public sitting of the IRSO West Wogan Commission, we had the police officers, we had chiefs. The IGP himself was there, regional director, Accra region, we had director of operations, they were all there. And a question that was consistent when all these appeared was, why does there appear to be a lack of trust in the police service by parties when they go into opposition? And I remember one of them, if my memory serves me well, the Greater Accra Region Commander said, it is because of what we have done to the institution. Politicians know they have their way around the police service, and so when they come out, they definitely know that their opponent, who is now in power, will have that same, you know, free space around the police service. What should we do? Because it gets frustrating by the day. We speak to the citizens, we hear them, we know their concerns, and they get frustrated by the day. They are scared. If it's not kidnapping today, it's a surge in robberies. If it's not a surge in robberies, it's assault. And there seems to be not an end in sight. What should we do?
Yes, I think you've made it right when the politicians are scared or they have mistrust, because they knew what they did during their time in power, and they always have the idea that that will be what the others will be doing or are doing. And I believe that it is still better to have our systems than not creating extra forces like the militias, the vigilantism that has created militias and warlords. So I still believe that we should trust them. It's a progressive thing. It's an evolutionary thing. You know, when you study sociology, the development of a society is evolutionary. The kind of cars that people were driving 50 years ago, houses they were living in, food they were eating, clothes they were wearing are different. It has taken years. And I believe that our democracy is 25 years. So we haven't gone far. So people think we can force things to come. I believe that at one point, people will have used force to contest position. We have gone to the courts, and the courts have even ruled a ruling party. You know, have ruled for a party to govern. So as we pursue probably the next 50, 60, 70, 80 years, our democracy will be like that of Britain or United States or some of these countries. So please, in Akan they say that I believe in bad democracy than military junta or anything that destroys the progress of the society. So yes, the politicians are the cause, and I can repeat it, and I'm not afraid of it. All the problems that are coming is because they have given the perception that when they are in the power, they control the police. So when they lose office, they also come to the idea that we don't trust the police. All the parties have ruled. And today, what the NDC is saying, especially with regard to the police, is because when they were in power, they used them. And of course, MPP also said the same thing when NDC was in power. But still, we must exercise patience. We must exercise restraint. And I thank God for the media in Ghana that is vibrant and that is fearless. Even though some of our journalists are being attacked and some are giving out their lives, but I want to commend the journalists in Ghana who are doing a good work. Let us continue to talk about issues, but still to have a bad police is better than anarchy, a lawless nation without a police. But saying that, there are some individuals who are doing the work. But let me tell you, I was saddened by the way some of these police gave their comments at the commission. And I'm waiting for the report to come.
We all
but
are waiting.
They have, some of them have destroyed, collapsed, you know, brought the image of the police down. And I believe that when Commissioner Shaw's the report come out to the public and some of the measures, it will really resolve some of these things.
To be fair to the NDC, they say that, well, at least during their event to elect the next candidate, flag bearer, they allowed the police to do the work entirely. They didn't bring any vigilantes. At least they're showing us that they trust in the police service now. Linked to that closely, the president gave them the NPP 1 week to write to the NDC. Thursday was 3 weeks. That dialogue hasn't still happened. We were told by the NPP's national organizer that they were going to send a letter close of day Thursday or by the end of the week last week. We haven't had any indication that the NDC has received that letter. Are you hopeful this dialogue will happen at all? And if it doesn't happen, what is the impact of that to the fight against militias?
Well, when the president spoke at the SONA, or the State of the Nation address, he said they will engage a dialogue that is between them. And if it doesn't happen, he will pass a legislation. And as what I'm hearing is that he has already authorized the Attorney General to start something. So let us see what the plan B will work. He didn't say we want to hold dialogue only. I had wanted that. But then he as if he was a prophet or he saw that anything could happen, he gave a plan B, and that is the contingency agreement. That is not plan A. So let us see what the plan A will do. But in saying that, you might have heard it, that Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, we have given the politicians 3 months. 1 month has already gone. We are in the 2nd month. After the 3 months, if we don't see the end of vigilantism, We will publicly come out and tell our 8 million female members, and now a lot of Christian organizations are coming in. We will reject any party that harbors or breeds or incubates vigilantism. Now, let us even shift from the word vigilantism to militia, and the leaders are warlords. We will reject them. We will do demonstration, what I've said, resistance, peaceful protest. The word is peaceful protest against vigilantism. And we believe that all the media will come to our aid, and 8 million and more people will tell Ghanaians and the public that enough is enough. But I want to believe that the president will not sit down for this to happen. And within the next 2 months, there's going to be good news. Right. But if that doesn't happen, we, the church, we will act.
Rev, let me give you a minute. Give me a minute. I mean, I will be back shortly because the Ghana Journalists Association is unhappy about Reverend Owusu Bempah's action at an Accra-based radio station. The DJA is therefore calling for his arrest and prosecution. Edward Kofi Yeboah speaks for the association.
You recall about 4 months ago, if my memory serves me right, December 13th, 2018. There was a similar report about Owusu Bempah going to Hot FM, also based in Accra, to vandalize some studio equipment there. So if you add the two incidents, you get the impression that the guy is gaining some notoriety of a violent person, and so it was important for the law to check him up. And we believe that even if you put the rule of law aside and you even engage the very forum which he thrives on, being the Bible does not condone violence in any way. And in our press statement, we have cited the example in the Old Testament where God had to rebuke Cain for killing his brother.
Well, you heard the GJA there. This morning I heard Reverend Owusu Bempah speaking on Neat FM, saying that he didn't go there to foment any trouble. He actually went there to speak to managers of Radio XYZ, to kindly speak to Mugabe, to tone down his language a bit because he had insulted him, the president and other leading members of government. Let me come to you, Reverend. You have mentioned the impact of the church by saying, look, 8 million of us will hit the street to let the politicians know this is our stance. But there are some who believe the church is also adding to the problem.
Thank you very much. But the church is also not perfect. We are a human institution, and God is always working at us. But I want to say that the church should be the light. Jesus said, we are the light of the world. We are the salt of the world. So I will take this opportunity not only to speak to myself, but to all pastors and Christian leaders that Ghana is already passing through a lot. And we should be peacemakers and peace builders. And as much as possible, let us not get ourselves involved in things that will create more division and tension and cause more panic and more destructive. Men of God, women of God, Christians at large, my advice is that we should be circumspect in all other things. The Bible says all things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. We may have the liberty to do a lot of things. Jesus even said, when somebody slaps you on the left, give the right cheek as well. So we should really be, the ministers, Christians, the church at large, should be circumspect in all that we do in order to promote, help the peace, the unity, and the security of the nation.
Now, talking about what Jesus recommends, I must say that Reverend Owusu Bempah believes that his posture was biblical. He says he went there to talk to them. And you know, the Bible says if you have an issue with somebody, talk to them. And when that didn't work out, he went to the police station, East Legon police station, to lodge a complaint. Then the journalist followed up there, according to his side of the story, with some other people to try and attack him. You've commended journalists very well, but I know that we've had issues in this country where some journalists have been taken to prison, others have also been hauled before the National Media Commission for some utterances they make. What would you like to say briefly in that respect?
I think we should be careful when we are dealing with journalists, and because without them we cannot survive. They are good, we need them. If since we had a free media landscape with this labor law, criminal labor law taken out of our system, we have really been enjoying some form of peace. But there are two institutions, I want to know what they do. GJA, they should be the vetting, they should have a peer review system. I don't know whether they have disciplinary and ethics committee within the GJA who should help streamline those journalists who are going wayward. There are some journalists in this country, I will not really even recognize them as journalists, but political appointees who go out there just to promote their parties, and they create confusion. Just as we have some pastors who go to the media to preach all forms of sermons to create confusion, there are some journalists, and I'm very, very unhappy about stations that are associated with political parties. As we are hammering on vigilantism, some of these nations, some of these studios can cause more havoc than what vigilantes could do. So GJA, the first institution, Brother Alfred Money, my church member and a good friend, and all your people, you must sit up. In account we say, so if anybody attacks a journalist, we must also know why, even though he has no right. The worst is he should report him to the National Media Commission or even take the person to court, rather than doing that nasty thing. That should not happen. Also, inform your journalists to practice, to be professionals, and hold the association or the institution, the profession into high esteem. There are a lot of wonderful journalists in Ghana who are chalking international awards. We want to promote that. The second is NMC. I really don't know what they're doing. They should bite. They should come out. They should make sure that the right thing is being done, or the right things are being done. So the NMC, sit up, make sure that the media landscape is correct. We are almost about to start campaign. And I tell you, what I would say that sometimes you don't even have to entertain some politicians. The way they will speak, you just have to be blackout on some of these people, so that this pollution, the news that will pollute the atmosphere, do not come. But saying that, whether the journalist is right or wrong or sensational or not sensational, nobody has a right to attack, any, wound, maim, or kill any journalist. As for that, I am passionate. Some of us who have seen what has happened in other nations will thank God for the vibrant journalism in our country.
Thank you very much for your time, Reverend Professor Frimpong-Manso is the president of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Association, and also chairman of the Small Arms Commission. We've been talking security and all that's happened in the past week.